where phrases like, I have a dream, meant something. I grew up where I believed that freedom existed, that that's what I was fighting for. I believed that the Statue of Liberty was a symbol of our liberty, that we all came from all over the world because we didn't want to live underneath the monarchy, that our founding fathers made America the land of the free and the land of the brave. I don't care what you say to me. I don't care if there's a shadow government or there's people out there that's trying to take it away from us. This is America, damn it, and I'm taking it back.
And now your host, Terry Joyce.
All right, welcome to the Freedom of Joy show here on American Freedom Radio. I am Terry Joyce, and good afternoon, good evening, or whatever time that you happen to be listening to this broadcast, because I know a lot of people archive it, they go to the archives or however. Not everything's in real time anymore, but today, if you are listening, if you're curious, it is May 19th, 2016, and I live on the Pacific Coast, so it is 3 p.m. in the afternoon. And today, earlier today, actually, I have been vaping a little bit. I have a new vape pen that was given to me by a friend of mine, and I have to say that I really do. I like the vape. I'm enjoying the vape, and I know that the fact that I called it the vape made it sound like my mom. You know how your mom always wants to put the word "the" in front of something like the Facebook, the social network, but yeah, it's and yesterday, actually, I got my medical marijuana card renewed yesterday in the morning before I did yesterday's show, and I have a specific doctor that I see down in Hollywood. He has the Hollywood Walking Clinic. And I talked about it a little bit yesterday. But maybe you're just listening to the show for the first time, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you the story. Dr. Rito Hill started a clinic for people who don't have insurance before Obamacare came about. And he offers a way to have emergency care. I mean, not say like major emergency, like you can't go in there with a gunshot wound or something like that and say, hey, can I spend $80 for this? You know, it's not like that, but you know, if you have minor things like stitches and maybe the flu and you want to get certain types of testing done, he offers those for lower price. And say, for instance, you need to do some sort of testing, maybe diabetes testing, it'll cost you a lot less than it would be to have to pay for it. And not without having insurance. It's scary when you get sick sometimes, isn't it? You know, you have an accident, a tetanus shot, you need to give a tetanus shot, you need to have something done where you have to be looked at. Back in the day when there was no Obamacare, and I'm not sure, honestly, I get if Obamacare is probably good about stuff like this. If you have Obamacare, if you're on Medicare, one of those other types of programs, you know, you can get this kind of help with ease. But back in the day, if you didn't have any type of health care and you cut something, I know I think I've let things scar more unsightly than I should have, based on the fact that I didn't want to have to face going in there and looking at the administrator's face, you know, when you tell her that you don't have any insurance, you know, oh, my finger's falling off, I have no insurance, and then they just give you like a dirty look, like, oh, not another one, and you gotta you gotta go in and be willed in. So anyways, I saw the doctor, and it was good to be there, and I got my renewal, which was only $35 now in the state of California. It used to be when you first went to get your medical marijuana card, when medical marijuana cards really came out, it seemed like it was more expensive at first. Like, oh, you got to pay like $100. I think the first one I ever got, I paid like $90 to get my medical marijuana evaluation. And now now it's gone down. Now it's down to 40. 40 is about the standard price in LA right now. $40 to have a medical doctor assess you and give you a medical marijuana recommendation. It's gone down in price because, of course, like everything else, the market saturates. And people have to, becomes competitive, and they have to bring their prices down. Kind of like calculators when they first came out. Remember when? See, this is how old I am. When I went to high school, making your parents purchase a calculator for you to take chemistry actually cost a little bit of an investment. Perhaps maybe I think it was up. Some of them might have been up in the hundreds, but it went down to like $40, and then it went down to $19. And well, now frankly, you can get a calculator for free from your doctor's office. So, oh my, how things change. But so now it was like $35 to renew it, and now I have I was a new patient at a place that I signed up for, and that was different too. Everything's different now. It's really, technology is co-opting with the medical marijuana industry, and I'm going to say it's an industry, just like there's the medical industry. Come on, let's face it. There's a certain aspect, business industry. I don't know, nonprofit, caregiving. I don't know what quite term I'm supposed to legally say right now. Someone out there, can you tell me what would be the politically correct term of how I refer to the cannabis, the industry, medical industry, what is it? It's so nebulous right now. But despite how nebulous it is that we can call what's happening, we have a Billionaire Boys Club member, Sean Parker, investing in this new initiative that's going to, that looks like it's going to make the ballot in California. So obviously, it doesn't matter what it's called. He sees this, it has to have a dollar sign associated, because it doesn't seem like this dude would be involved in anything that he wasn't gonna get a profit or a payback, knowing his history. And I'm gonna recap on that a little bit too, about the Sean Parker thing. Sean Parker is my new target here on American Freedom Radio. It used to be George Soros, and he's not really off the hook either in his association with marijuana. But now I'm gonna go full on Sean Parker. Sean Parker, until this next election in November. He is an interesting fellow who's now associated himself with marijuana, and apparently he has been around so far back as Prop 19, when we were trying to legalize cannabis here in the state of California in 2010. Now, these same guys who had that particular initiative are back with the revised, Adult Marijuana of Use Act of 2016, the AUMA. And not a lot of people are really talking about the AUMA yet, in terms of being negative, okay? Because, it's weird how marijuana is being not weird. I don't think it's weird at all. I would say it is. I'm thinking maybe manipulation is the word, but that's not the word either. It's orchestrated. How marijuana is being dispersed to the public in our program-controlled television and our somewhat controlled internet, because we know Sean Parker's behind a lot of different things. And I want to reiterate again, like I went down a list and I read the things that he does and what he's all about. But there's some pretty grave concerns about him. But before I get into like the whole, Sean Parker thing is, I just want to say that I've got some Girl Scout cookie in my vape pen. That's the main point of interest of today, actually. Forget about Sean Parker, who's like again, another wolf in clothing, amongst the lambs of crusaders of marijuana. Okay, but pretending to be a rich lamb, a rich philanthropy lamb with a big heart that decided, because he's so cool, because Justin Timberlake played him in the movie, because Justin Timberlake brought sexy back. Okay, anyway, all right, so here's this pen that I got yesterday. I went into the dispensary, and like I was said before, it's different there. It used to be like when you went to check in a dispensary, you go in every time. You got to unwrap a piece of paper and go, "This is my rec," and then they look at it, and then they go on the computer, and there's this little computer or some sort of network that validates your recommendation right there, so they know if you're in the database. You're totally legal to come in. And this is a really big deal. This validation process is a really big deal for a medical marijuana patient to be able to walk through the doors of a collective. It's like, if you don't have a recommendation, oh, honey, you don't have the golden key, okay? You can't walk in. And I have to say grace for a collective or a medical marijuana dispensary and what it's like to be in one. If you've never been in one, if you want to know what it's like inside, and you're a cannabis consumer and you're living in a state or a part of the world that doesn't have this privilege, let me tell you something. You are missing out on the opportunity. And I'm not saying just as, like, let's say, for fun or being a recreational smoker or whatever. I'm saying for anybody who is even a patient to have the selection of different types of products that are out there. Yes, I am calling them products, or medicine. Maybe we call them medicine. And it's not just about shatter and glass and, dabs. And I mean, those things are, they are literally, if you're doing them on a recreational level, I would say work your way up there. All right. If you're going to be like, if marijuana, obviously this has probably happened to some of the people that are living in Colorado who legalized it for recreational use, or for Washington, or however, cannabis can kick your ass in high doses if you are not prepared for it. Trust me. I ate a couple really big brownies one time and tripped out so bad, talked to God, came back and dyed my hair red the next day. Okay. It can happen to you. And if you're not prepared for it, it could be a huge turnoff. There are some patients that I know my friend Suzanne Wong, the actress Suzanne Wong. She had breast cancer. It progressed. I don't know if she was stage 4, but she was in a very, very dangerous area. She was going through Western chemo and treatment, but she was using cannabis to help with the nausea, etc. Well, she ate an edible at the Hollywood Bowl. I've done that too before. But if you're not prepared for it, I mean, and you're sick, she was vomiting and she was like, thought she was, dying or, talking to God in a different reality. I mean, it can trip you out like that if you are not prepared for it. I don't sit here and say, oh yeah, everything's wonderful about marijuana and there are no side effects that that would be unpleasant for the experience if you're not prepared. I mean, hell, there's been times where I've smoked some really good bud, and when I first became an activist for marijuana, I was not a seasoned pot smoker, and I really consider myself to be a lightweight. I mean, yes, granted, like over the years, I have developed a certain type of tolerance. And, I'm way more experienced with eating edibles. And by the way, I actually like to eat an edible when I'm in I'm in pain. And I am one of those, and I know like people are going to, don't talk about this, Terry, but I'm going to admit I'm one of those people that suffer from PMS and, discomfort during that time of the month. Yes, I am not too old. I'm still, like, I know people, oh my God, you're so old. Like, Terry, you actually were alive when we didn't have, we didn't have answering machines. Okay, you were alive when there were no answering machines. Like literally, I'm one of those people that had to run home, to get a phone call, thinking that I wanted to talk to the cute guy in school that I gave my phone number to. And if my mom was talking on the phone, I would go, "Mom, get off the phone! He's gonna call!" Or maybe I didn't really say it like that, and probably didn't even say it at all. But God, I was thinking it in my head. I'm sure that if you are in my generation, you could relate. But yeah, being as old as I am, I'm still dealing and have, that thing. And so I figure as being as old as I am, having that thing, I deserve to have a freaking brownie. All right. Give me a goddamn pot brownie now, so that I can, get through, the rest of the evening. And I'm a busy person. All right. It's not like I'm a person that can just lie down for 2 days and go, and then, and move on. And they go, "I'm sick because, I'm on my period," like a pussy. Like, I don't do that stuff. I'm freaking hardcore chick. All right. So it's like, you get up and you put in your combat boots and you take a goddamn pot brownie and you move on with your day. I don't know how else to say it here. And shout out to Whoopi Goldberg. Not Whippy. Woo! It's Whoopi Goldberg, not Whoopi. Whoopi, because Whoopi whoops ass. Whoopi Goldberg just announced that she has a line of products for women at their time of the month, and I think really that women need this at this time of the month, because I think the fact that Whoopi's going to save marriages. All right, I know that there's probably some guys out there listening to this to me, and I have advice for your relationships. Especially if Mercury is in retrograde or whatever. If your girl is on her period and a royal bitch, okay, you need to she will be like you a whole lot more if you give her some cannabis. All right, give her some cannabis, give her a little extra love, and make it a really extra strong cookie, and just tell her, "Hey, honey, have a good night, take care of yourself," and just let it be, okay? Because I'm telling you, I think that there'll be less divorces in this country if that is allowed. I think that maybe medical marijuana should be legal everywhere, okay? Every woman in the country, every woman alive on this planet deserves a medical marijuana card simply for being a woman, all right? Why do I need a card? I'm not going to say gender deficient, because we're not gender deficient. I crack myself up. I know. Sometimes I wonder, I laugh during my show, and I'm thinking, does anybody who's listening laugh? I don't know. Maybe not. I'm hoping somewhere somebody is finding some of this dialogue entertaining. As you know, I am on American Freedom Radio, and I am an American. I'm on American Freedom Radio, and I am an American. And again, not everybody here that broadcasts is an American, and I certainly don't beseech a person for not being American. I mean, I'm not even sure if there's a reason to be proud to be an American. I mean, I almost feel like it's like you want to go to, if somebody, I feel like maybe if I'm traveling, I can imagine myself. I haven't gone to Europe yet. I really, really want to someday. I would love to go out of the United States. But I kind of see myself traveling someday. People go, "Oh, where are you from?" I'm like, America. What? Could you say that again? I'm an American. Forgive me. Oh, forgive me. I'm so sorry. It's like, and at the same time, I feel that America is, it's very important. We're very pivotal, and there's something to be proud of. We're not all bad. But I do believe that there's some of us out here that obviously have the rebel gene. Okay, we have the rebel gene. We have a history of having the rebel gene. We were rebels just to come over here in the first place and emancipate ourselves from the monarchy. I really think that there somewhere is a spirit that our Constitution was written on, and the Declaration of Independence, and the real meaning of what a democracy is, not the one that Obama flashes around in other countries that he doesn't belong in, like Brazil or the Ukraine with George Soros saying, yes, let's create a democracy so you can join the UN, United Nations, and NATO. Well, that's not real democracy. Okay, so let's X that one out of the picture. But real democracy, the kind, or real Americans, or ones that say, wait a second, maybe we should keep the Second Amendment. Ones that say, and again, sorry to piss off my liberal friends, but I don't think we should totally go away with the right to bear arms. I am okay with certain requirements in terms of like being able to have a gun. There has to be regulation, people. Sort of call you people. Maybe that's insulting. There has to be regulation, people. There has to be regulation, right? We can't go without regulating something. I don't think so. I can't just let's just give every person guns. Everyone guns, even the ones who are crazy and are mentally ill and crazy or whatever. But it needs to be fair. I mean, it's just like cannabis. You can't. We got to regulate cannabis, really. I mean, I know that cannabis is way safer than drugs because there have been no reported deaths with cannabis, and you can't really kill anybody with cannabis either, like you can with a lot of the other pharmaceutical medications that are out there. But and by the way, just so everybody knows, you cannot have cannabis and own a firearm. I know that a lot of you guys right now, maybe even like, are holding your gun and taking a toke at the same time, and you're like, oh shit, But hey, we're really not allowed because cannabis is a federally illegal drug. And you cannot combine those things. As a matter of fact, you can do some really hard time for having cannabis and any type of device that would be considered a weapon. And the most ridiculous case of this that I know personally is that a friend of mine was growing marijuana for a patient, because you can do that still in California. If you have a friend that grows, and your friend has a medical marijuana card, and you have a medical marijuana card, your friend who has the medical marijuana card can grow 6 plants for you, and it's 12 plants total. It's 6 plants mature and 6 plants immature for you personally, and give you that medicine, and you have the legal right to give him the cost and the money or whatever to be able to do that, and the time spent or whatever. There can be that legal trade. I believe the money exchange is okay. I'm pretty sure it is. I have to double check on that actually, so don't quote me totally, but it does happen, and that's the way it is. And so anyways, my friend was growing for another friend, and he had just sold some bulletproof vests to some of the security guards for a local dispensary in Los Angeles that was raided by the FBI or the DEA. This is kind of like the same thing of like the raid that I was in North Hollywood. And in the bulletproof vest of the security guards that were involved in that was his business card, because he had sold them the vest. So the FBI and this guy, he lived with his parents. Okay, he was like 26 years old or 27 or something like that. Hell, he might have been 30, because some 30-year-olds live with their parents. Okay, I'm not judging, but whatever. Anyway, I just did. Okay. Okay, so he ends up he goes out of his house, at his parents' house, and all of a sudden, there's guns drawn while he's getting into his car by the DEA. All right, so they find in his car marijuana, and enough of it, as a few eighths maybe, but it was all the legal amount, whatever the legal. But he had more than just a container or 4 grams or so. He might have had some concentrates, things like this. But what he also had in his car was blow darts. He had these like souped up blow darts that he had kind of created or had a patent on or something. And the FBI said, we have to take you in. You have no choice. And if you don't comply with us, we can come after you because we can charge you for having weapons and marijuana together, which is a felony. So they were using that over his head to take him in, and to apparently maybe he would have had some inside scoop on the dispensary and the legalities of what they did. So he got full on interrogated. But for blow darts, okay? I mean, blow darts. Do you get it? I mean, how many people out there don't like to just rip a big one and then, bong hit, not something else, and, go out there and, do, play in their backyard with their blow darts for entertainment. I don't know. I'm just hypothesizing how dangerous a blow dart might be, or if has there even been any injuries of anybody who would have a blow dart. So I am Terry Joyce. You are listening to American Freedom Radio, and thank you so much for tuning in. Now that I've rambled about all of that stuff, hopefully there's been some information out there that you could take from and found interesting. I think this is, to me, this is interesting information to share with the rest of the world. How the laws are. What's it like? What is it like to go in a dispensary? What is it like to see, the limitations on owning the rules of cannabis so far? And how each of these rules are being implemented all over the country and all over the world right now. Really, in a sense, I've always said it started with California. It started with us, okay, the Californians. It started with the Californian people in California, their relationship to cannabis. I'm not saying that I don't want to take anything away from Colorado, and I don't want to take anything away from Washington or Oregon. I mean, I know that Oregon was the first state to decriminalize marijuana in 1973. So Oregon really is the first state to do anything to alleviate, as far as I know. Now, I might need to research a little bit more, and I don't really want to research it right now because I don't want to take away from it. I don't think it's that big of an issue, but I will go and validate what I'm talking about. But I do know that Oregon was the first state to decriminalize it in 1973. So I'm assuming that makes that state to be the first one that did anything to help prohibition, to help make it where it's no big deal. And honestly, it was Oregon that made me a cannabis consumer, because really it was my experiences of going to Oregon, Portland, Oregon specifically, and performing and doing stand-up, where it was the other comedians there seemed to smoke a lot. Okay, I didn't mean to out them or anything like that, but they do a lot of pot smoking, and because of that, I was joining in with them. And then whenever and also Washington, I'm going to say that, really, in a sense, comedians like marijuana. We always have. I mean, marijuana has been part of my comedy experience, traveling on the circuit. It didn't matter what state we were in. I mean, hell, I don't think I should out them because I don't know if they want to come out as pot smokers, so I'm not going to say. But I have sat in many a condo with some pretty well-known comedians right now that you would go, whoa, and sat after a show and shared a joint with them and just sat and talked, and really, in a sense, it communicated. It to me, it felt something almost tribal between comedians, and I really think that the cannabis plant has something tribal to it anyways. It's one of those things that you got to share. You don't really hog it that much. And I could go, I could say, alcohol to an extent might be that way, because every addict, every partier wants somebody to party with, right? And I'm not saying like every partier is an addict or a drinker or whatever, but it's like Mickey Rourke, right? In Barfly, drinks for my friends. I mean, that was my favorite line. I would love to say that, drinks for my friends. But cannabis, it's the way it is almost begs to be shared with. You pass the joint, you puff along, you share it. It's for everyone, and if you really look at the big awareness, the big drop on in society during the beatnik hippie movement here in the United States, where it got associated with that culture, that freedom, the love culture, the love, peace, not war culture, and cannabis is something that makes people, or it's associated with making you more happier or docile or whatever, but it's not like a whole, like a third eye lobotomy like what fluoride does. I mean, I'm not saying let's disperse cannabis so that we can control the masses, but it is a plant that does something to us that makes us feel, oh wow, look how beautiful that tree is. I remember one time when that happened to me. It was like when I was a novice cannabis smoker, or I was starting to smoke more with a comedian, by the way, the Wacky Iraqi. I'm just going to say this. His name is called the Wacky Iraqi, and he's so funny. And I always thought it was really cool because at the time when he came on the scene, we were with Iraq, and he'd come up on stage and go, "Don't shoot me," and it was and really, I think that comedians that do that at that time makes us they're very instrumental in making us conscious to one another and bringing unity in that sense. If you're doing that kind of jokes, I wish he was still doing his stuff. Well, maybe he is. But anyways, the Wacky Iraqi and I smoked a joint one time in Altadena, California. I remember we were coming up from I believe we were probably at the Pasadena Playhouse, which was down the hill on Lake Street. And there was this there's this place that I used to hang out with in Altadena. I really miss it there. It's called the Rancho Bar and Grill. And there's a couple bars in Pasadena where the real Pasadena people go to. It's not like the tourist people that decided to go down where all the, bars and restaurants are at. Which, by the way, unfortunately is becoming like a ghost town again, which I think is a statement for our economy. But, we would come up from the Pasadena Playhouse and go to the Rancho where the real Pasadena people hang out, Caltech people, all the artists and stuff like that. There was a real artist hub that happened in Pasadena, because there was the Playhouse, you have JPL, you have the scientists, you have Caltech, you have Cal Arts nearby. So it's quite the hub. And again, if you know the history about Pasadena, of course, we've got the whole Aleister Crowley thing going on with, Jack Parsons being the founder of JPL and his shenanigans with L. Ron Hubbard and Anton LaVey. That's history, folks. When again, someone's like, oh, really? Yeah, they've even talked about this on Ancient Aliens, because apparently L. Ron Hubbard and Jack Parsons were doing some sort of Aleister Crowley spell that they say that contacted some sort of alien race that may have actually broke a portal between Pasadena to Area 51 and pre-Area 51 incident, something like that. And again, I think there's some sort of like longitude, or there's like some sort of we're directly somehow connected to Area 51. Pasadena is. I know, pretty trippy, huh? That I mean, all this is kind of, you know, going on in Pasadena, and it blows my mind that all like this stuff actually happened there, because of course, you know, the Beach Boys came out with the song "The Little Old Lady from Pasadena." Anyway, I lived there for a really long time, and there was this place called the Rancho that I used to hang out with. And I remember sitting in my car and just, I must have puffed on some really good bud that the wacky Iraqi had. And I looked at this tree, and it was just, you know, I don't know how many times I parked my car there in that spot to go to the Rancho or whatever. But I looked at this tree, and I went, oh my God, that tree is so beautiful. Look at it. And the wacky Iraqi laughed at me because he said, boy, you must be really high. And I was, but that's what cannabis can do for you. It helps you to see the beauty of nature that is around you. You know, I ever since I started smoking it, I felt like I became more connected to the earth, connected to nature. It's like it's like as if I noticed the birds for the first time, or I could hear the birds chirping, or and I thought, oh my God, and why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't it? Because, you know, you're taking in a plant, which is making you connected to the plant. And I have a theory that with the plant, there's probably some sun energy that comes in, which is really necessary for us. We need chlorophyll. We need to have the sun shining down on us. We need the vitamin D. We need to be connected to source in the plant. So it's interesting to see, or have this one plant in our culture disrupt so many, or get persecuted. The people that use it get so persecuted by our government and our police force and our politicians. You know, it makes you wonder if there's ever a conspiracy theory out there. It's the conspiracy of the cannabis plant. Really, it even goes. It even. And I know I know JFK is a really big deal, and we want to find out what that is. But I mean, this conspiracy goes. It's ancient. It's an ancient plant that has been part of this planet for God knows how long, right? I mean, it came with us, or did it come with us? Because there's that theory that cannabis is actually an extraterrestrial plant, and that somehow, like, I guess there's a spiral that goes with the plant that goes clockwise, but it goes counterclockwise. There's something in it that it goes in the opposite direction, which is one thing to wonder about. And also the word cannabis, meaning canine, and bi being two, that it means that it was from Sirius, which is the dog star. So and there's this whole the Dogon tribe and its connection to the Dogon tribe and the Dogon people with Sirius. So, I mean, I often wondered, you know, was cannabis brought here by an alien race to help humanity on this planet? I mean, they said, you know what, we've got this great bud, and we better give it to Earth because if they don't have it, they have no fighting chance to fight the lizards and the crazy cabal and the monarchy that's out there, unless they have this ancient herb that people will one day in the future, let's say 2016, be going to be fighting for the freedom and the legalization of it on a global level. The fact that you know, obviously mankind, just like modern technology, has found the advancement of the cannabis plant and what it can do for its people. By the way, I do have a guest today. who will be coming on in the second hour. I have Kimberly Matlock will be joining me around 4:15. Hopefully, it all works out before 4:20 because that would be very cool and apropos. But she is a medical marijuana patient who suffers from MS, and she actually grows her own, makes her own oils, her own medicines, and does her own organic therapy to deal with her disease. And so she will be joining me in the second hour. So I often wondered, hey, if we really did have disclosure and aliens, landed on the planet, and what would happen? Would the door open up and they'd be like puffing on a big joint and like throwing it out to the crowd, and they're like, yay, and then all of a sudden Jerry Garcia comes out and starts playing, the Grateful Dead music. I don't know. I mean, maybe they come out and this is it. The aliens come out. You hear the song "Lowrider," and with a puff of smoke, and the alien says "Orale," and so. They go, I knew they were Mexican, and so then we move on. So anyway, okay. I'm stopping to take a drink of my cold coffee for a moment. I forgot to heat it up before the show. I don't know. I have this. See, my real addiction right now is caffeine. I got to get off the caffeine. Oh, I sound like my mom again. I put the in front of it. I got to get off the caffeine, not just like caffeine. It's not the Facebook, it's Facebook, and I'm still going to get to that fucker. So I'm coming back on Sean Parker here in a moment. But caffeine is actually, did you know this? Marijuana is only slightly more addictive than caffeine is, but I got to tell you, I have way worse problems with caffeine. Way worse problems with caffeine. Then caffeine is my drug of choice. I love the way it smells. I like to make the beans. I like to do the different tastes. I like to go to coffee shops. I like to hang out at coffee shops. I love it. I love it so much. I love it so much that I'm finding it hard to ever think of my life without ever having another cup of coffee. And you know what? I say fuck decaf. Decaf, no way, Jose. What's the point? It doesn't even taste the same. And I don't trust the process of things really. But I am getting better. I'm having more days where I'm drinking tea. I'm substituting tea to coffee. I don't know. One time I had this. I have cystic fibrotic breast. I don't know if anybody else out there has cystic fibrotic breast, but I remember my doctor was saying, well, you need to cut out caffeine and chocolate and no cigarettes. And I was like, what? Caffeine and chocolate? I mean, what would be the point to be alive and not be able to eat any chocolate? You know what? We'll just leave the breast alone and let me move on and give me my damn chocolate. I mean, that chocolate is the only thing sweet that I actually really like. I'm not saying I'm a chocolate fiend, but every once in a while I want to have a little pinch of chocolate. And you know what's really good is when you smoke some really good bud. Like right now I could be vaping on my Girl Scout cookie vape pen, and all of a sudden like that chocolate, that dark chocolate with a little salt on it, or the salted chocolate. Oh, that's my new thing now. Salted chocolate, a little tab of salted chocolate. And what an aphrodisiac can chocolate be? Come on. What would sex be like if you didn't have a little bit of cannabis and then some chocolate afterwards or beforehand, Anyway, there you go. I brought up sex with cannabis. All right. I want to go into a little bit about Sean Parker again, and one of the things that I didn't ask DJ, Sean Parker, just so Sean Parker, people know who Sean Parker is. Sean Parker was the president of Facebook, and he started Napster file sharing at the age of 19. and really is pretty much responsible for a lot of the social media that is out there, from Plattsco to various things. Yesterday, I read his whole resume out there. But he has been behind the last two initiatives that made the ballot. Well, I'm not saying this one's made it, but I'm pretty sure it probably made it, guys, which is really sad. The only two initiatives that have had any power or push in California, he has his money in. And I don't think Sean Parker was behind Colorado's initiative or Washington's or Oregon's, and I'm going to Google that here in the moment and find out about that, because I'm curious. I didn't see his name anywhere associated with it. We did hear, I did hear, we got a little blurb that Proposition 19, George Soros was behind that. He did, put some money in it, and that was somewhat public to people at that time. The time that I heard that, I really didn't know who George Soros is. Now I do. So I've come a long way, baby. But I find it interesting that Sean Parker is focusing on California. And if you really look at the state of California too, California is where the internet, the computer was made by Steve Jobs, and we also have the Silicon Valley. So California has been really a forerunner. I would say safe to say that maybe California is responsible for the internet in some ways. Again, if you look at the movie The Social Network, they were living in Northern California for a while they were building it, and with Mark Zuckerberg and Sean Parker, who was played by let's bring it back, sexy dude. Okay, so I want to just sort of read Forbes magazine, the world's billionaires. He was on the cover of Forbes, and the meme that I circulated from my own Facebook page, actually, which did really well, I'm kind of excited to say, because a lot of people are, especially in the marijuana community, it got shared on a lot of forums. A lot of the activists out there picked up on it right away when I posted. They were like, oh my God. And I took the picture of him from Forbes magazine and put it on the meme, and said, why we should, basically it was saying why we should vote no on the Adult Marijuana Use Act, AUMA, in California. So basically it was like calling out Sean Parker. I don't think anybody, not a whole lot of people yet are really associating this on a real public level. I think inside people that have been fighting on the initiatives know who he is, but I think you're going to find this is going to break larger in the media, is my prediction. And once it does make the ballot, or it probably is going to get a really big, huge media push, trying to make it look like it's a very slick thing, because this guy's, a big deal, right? This guy is probably one of the biggest deals out there. All right, Sean Parker is probably one of the biggest deal out there in terms of changing the world as we know it. All right, he's one of those people. He is a Steve Jobs. Okay, Jobs. I always like to say Jobs. I think it sounds better. Okay, Forbes, the world's billionaires. All right, Sean Parker co-founded music sharing service Napster when he was 19, and Plattsco, a contact management startup at 21. He then became Facebook's president at age 24. It was a position he held briefly, but it accounts for the bulk of his fortune. After a stint at Peter Thiel's venture firm, Founders Fund, Parker has focused on doling out cash to political candidates and charitable causes. In June of 2015, he launched the Parker Foundation, giving $600 million to fund giving in life sciences, global health, and civic management. In November of 2015, the foundation donated $10 million to establish a new autoimmunity research lab at the University of California, San Francisco. Previously, Parker gave $4.5 million to UCSF to help combat malaria, and $24 million to Stanford University to found an allergy research center. He also launched Brigade Media, a tech startup aiming to use social networking to increase political engagement in 2014. Parker has donated $500,000 to back a proposed initiative that would legalize marijuana use for adults in California if approved by voters in 2016. He sits on the board of digital music service Spotify. Now, this all sounds great, right? I mean, when you read this, you go, "What a great guy!" I mean, wow, to help combat malaria, he's helping, autoimmunity research lab. I mean, wow. I mean, this is what you do with your money, and again, I applaud anybody, and I'm not saying that any of these things don't have value in our society, and that not people that are not getting helped by it. I need to give him a round of applause for turning it out the way it is. Now, I'm going to examine some of these charities a little bit more in detail. And I think we really should, just to kind of. Don't you think everybody needs to be vetted, right? But the one thing I do want to point out here, and again, you could read this on Wikipedia. He was recruited by the CIA. This guy was recruited by the CIA as a teenager, okay, based on the fact that he was arrested for hacking when he was a kid. And, the CIA, the CIA always recruits the brightest and the best. I mean, why not, right? I mean, yeah, someone with that kind of talent at that kind of age would have to be groomed, right? So let's not be naive as to what is really going down here either. And let's not be naive by the fact that, Facebook is monitoring all of us, all right? So Facebook is a monitoring device to follow everybody and have tabs on them. And also, let's not forget that Facebook has been used to incriminate people. And one of the things, let's more specifically, you can trace back to the San Bernardino shooting, where they used Facebook as having the shooters being associated with ISIS by Facebook. Facebook linked them in association with Facebook. So Facebook is not, obviously we know Facebook is not an innocent entity, and it also does determine what it's going to be. It does target. I think it targets truthers or people, or not, people that are posting stuff. It will remove your post, and it does do a certain form of censorship. So there is a monitor control over the content that can actually be shared on Facebook. All right, and personally, I find it to be, I'm a little bit concerned about this one area, and that's Brigade Media that was launched in 2014. It's a tech startup aiming to use social networking to increase political engagement. But what kind of political engagement? Is it the same kind of political engagement that some of us here on in the truth media are actually doing? I'm not saying that we're a political organization or that we have any type of political affiliation of anything, but not specifically to American Freedom Radio or to anywhere else. But let's think about what's going on here. I'm obviously talking about politics on my show. So I would think that in some way on the internet, I'm playing some part of being some sort of voice about it. I don't know how much power I have or who the hell's listening, really. But I can say that I'm participating in a movement that is pretty much anti-mainstream information, being that I am on the other side of this media. So my question is Brigade Media intended for us, right? Or for something else? Bernie Sanders, this particular initiative, is it intended for this? Is it intended for the Adult Marijuana Use Act of 2016 to be dispersed amongst the collective consciousness of the internet media to think that this is the good one to vote for? I mean, this is way more intricate than I thought it was. I mean, until I stumbled upon Sean Parker being behind this, I just thought we were just, doing the regular old cats, the regular old, George Soros ones. And to me, Sean Parker I'm more scared by Sean Parker than I am George Soros at this point, because Sean Parker is hip, young, famous, and he was played by Justin Timberlake. So he is automatically glamorized by probably every young person out there that has an iPhone in their hand. This is a cool guy supporting a cool thing like marijuana. He's liberal, he's hip, he's young, and he's apparently sexy because a singer who brought sexy back played him in a movie. A very successful movie. Matter of fact, I have the Social Network is pulled up here. Social Network, the Social Network. I mean, hell, Trent Reznor won an Oscar for underscoring this movie. How cool is that? All right, I'm a Nine Inch Nails fan. All right, David Fincher's The Social Network is the stunning tale of a new breed. This is a superbly crafted film. I mean, this is just this is just a description of the trailer here. Matter of fact, this is Wikipedia. I'm gonna click on. This is IMDb. All right, I'm gonna come right back. We're going to be right back with more Freedom of Joyce here and The Social Network and Sean Parker and marijuana. Stay tuned.
You see, I grew up in America. I grew up in the land where phrases like, I have a dream, meant something. I grew up where I believed that freedom existed, that that's what I was fighting for, that our founding fathers made America the land of the free and the land of the brave. This is America, damn it, and I'm taking it back.
And now your host, Terry Joyce.
All right, welcome back to the Freedom of Joyce show here on American Freedom Radio. And if you've listened to the first hour of the show, I've gone into talking about Sean Parker, who is the billionaire behind the new proposition, that the new initiative that looks like it's going to be making the ballot for people to vote for recreational use in the state of California. Unfortunately, this is a terrible initiative. It's going to make us more in prison about the cannabis plants. It's going to take more of our rights away, and it also is going to alter the original Proposition 215, the Cannabis Compassion Use Act. So it's not going to be good, okay, if we do have this pass. And I'm trying to let everybody know out there who's in California to vote no, to really, I mean, again, you can make up your own choice, but I would say definitely read the fine print, because California is a special state when it comes to cannabis. All right, we have the best cannabis pretty much in the world. In a way, we have the potential to grow the best because the way the soil is here, and the only other part of the world that has that kind of potential is Afghanistan. So, and the cannabis community, I mean, the cannabis has been very much a part of, I mean, again, if we're talking about the area of where the computer, Northern California, was created with Steve Jobs, and, we can talk about, let's talk about, Sean Parker and, Mark Zuckerberg, and when they were living in Northern California. This is all very close to where cannabis is, all right? You get it? Okay, I mean, there's been some legitimate, I don't say legitimate, but there's been some money amongst people concerning cannabis in Northern California with just like mom and pops, all right, people in the know, all right? It's been kind of hush-hush, All right, this is that there are places in Northern California that are supported by the cannabis production there, even within the legality that we have, and it's not been just like 2-3 years. It's been going on for a while. Okay, so there's a lot at stake here for California. There's a lot of stake. California right now, I think California is a state that's under attack, especially since we have Jerry Brown in office still. Jerry Brown passing legislature that's going to require every child to be vaccinated, like 40 vaccinations just to go to school. Public school. All right, this is not, and forget about having, religious rights. We're done. We're done here, and that just got signed, passed. Does anybody in California have a choice? Based on what? Based on the fact that there was an outbreak of measles in Disneyland. Okay, that was the excuse. That was the tipping. That was the tipping berg. So California, if we screw up on our cannabis laws, we're fucked. Seriously, we are. All right, so this needs to be discussed. We need to know what's going on. Who are the people behind here? Where is the money coming from? And who wants the money once it gets legalized that way? Who stands to benefit? It's certainly not you and I. It's not us. Okay, so this is the Social Network. The Social Network is this is the movie that's about. This is Columbia Pictures did a movie about Facebook. I loved it. All right, I'm gonna watch it again really soon. I've got my cousin. He's got this little device that lets you pick up streams and stuff like that all over the place. It's freaking great. And I said, can you find the Social Network? Because I wanna look at it again. Now that this is going on, I want to go back and look at that movie and dissect it, because don't you love how Hollywood decides to tell you what the truth is based on a movie that's basically based on a true story? I mean, it's always, most films, if you notice, it's a true story, but it's always based on a true story because they need to tweak it so that you can have all the drama and the climax and everything wrapped up in 2 seconds, 2 hours or an hour and a half or 90 minutes or whatever the film is. It's got to have 3 acts or however it does, the crescendo, the climax, the resolution, all of it. It's got a pattern. So, most things has creative license to what the truth is. But I would go even farther than that, because we all know that Hollywood makes movies to tell us what history is so that we think that that's the way it went down. Right? I mean, it's not really quite accurate as to what's happening. And this is done as a control for us to believe in an illusion of what's going on. All right. So this was a big, this at the 83rd Academy Awards, this film received 8 nominations, including Best Picture, Best Director for Fincher, and Best Actor for Eisenberg, and won 3 for Best Adapted Screenplay or Best Original Score, yay Trent Reznor, and Best Film Editing. The film also received awards for Best Motion Picture. This is Best Picture. This won Best Picture. Best Motion Picture, Drama, Best Director, Best Screenplay, Best Original Score at the 68th Golden Globe Awards. Okay, that's the Global Award. Okay, no, I guess it didn't take Best. It didn't take Best Picture that year, but it did take Best Motion Picture, Drama, Best Director, Best Screenplay, and Best Original Score at the 68th Golden Globe Awards. So it did well in both places. But you see, in Wikipedia, it says, I love Wikipedia. Of course, it's not totally accurate either. The Social Network is a 2010 American biographical drama film directed by David Fincher and written by Aaron Sorkin. Oh, I wonder if Aaron Sorkin is the guy who wrote Pi. Let me just do a real quick Google search on Aaron Sorkin, because I think it might be. Let me see. I could be wrong. Let's see. Let's go with this IMDb. Let's see. Aaron Sorkin. No, I don't think it is. I don't think it is him. Aaron Sorkin grew up in Scarsdale, a suburb of New York, where he was involved in high school drama and theater. After graduating in Syracuse University with a bachelor degree in the art theater, Sorkin intended to pursue a career in acting. It took him only a short time to realize that his true love and true talent lay in writing. I'm pretty sure that's probably what it says. So what is his see. What did he do? God, this is not giving me the information that I want. I don't care about his personal life. Anyway, I'll get back on that. Aaron Sorkin, Jesus, okay. Okay. But anyways, he wrote this movie. And, here we go. He wrote A Few Good Men, Molly's Game, Steve Jobs' screenplay, okay, The Newsroom, Moneyball, The Social Network screenplay, Charlie Wilson's War screenplay, Studio 60 on the Sunstrip, The West Wing, Sports Night, The American President, Malice, and A Few Good Men. So those are his credits. Okay, so that's who he is. No, he's not the pie guy. The pie guy did Black Swan. So that's a whole other thing. All right, so although Severin was his own vision. Okay, so where am I here? Adapted from Ben Mesrick's 2009 book, The Accidental Billionaires, The Founding of Facebook, A Tale of Sex, Money, Genius, and Betrayal. The film portrays the founding of social networking website Facebook and the resulting lawsuits. It stars Jesse Eisenberg as founder Mark Zuckerberg, along with Andrew Garfield and Eduardo Saverin, and Justin Timberlake as Sean Parker. There you go. The other principals involved in the website's creation, neither Zuckerberg nor any other Facebook staff were involved with the project, although Saverin was a consultant for Mesrick's book. The film was released in the United States by Columbia Pictures on October 1st of 2010. The plot. In October 2003, 19-year-old Harvard University student Mark Zuckerberg is dumped by his girlfriend Erica Albright. Returning to his dorm, Zuckerberg writes an insulting entry about Albright on his LiveJournal blog and then creates a campus website called Face Mash by hacking into a college databases to steal photos of female students, then allowing site visitors to rate their attractiveness. All of this sounds like, you see, the very nature of Facebook is basically like going after somebody and smashing their face on the internet. It started with revenge, which I find kind of interesting. So it's a face smash. After traffic to the site crashes parts of Harvard's computer network, Zuckerberg is given 6 months of academic probation. Now, I wonder if at that time the CIA approached Zuckerberg, huh? You ever wonder, like, hey, kid, we want to talk to you. So I want to check into that, too. However, Face Mash's popularity attracts the attention of Harvard upperclassmen and twins Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss. Wow, that's a doozy. And their business partner Divya Narendra. The trio invites Zuckerberg to work on a Harvard Connection, a social network for Harvard students aimed at dating. After agreeing to work on Winklevoss's twins concept, Zuckerberg approaches his friend Eduardo Saverin with an idea of what he calls the Facebook, on an online social networking website that would be exclusive to Ivy League students. Saverin provides $1,000 in seed funding, allowing Mark to build the website, which quickly becomes popular. When they learn of the Facebook, the Winklevoss twins and Narendra are incensed, believing that Zuckerberg stole their idea while keeping them deliberately in the dark by installing on developing the Harvard Connection website. They raise their complaint with Harvard President Larry Summers, who is dismissive and sees no value in either disciplinary action of the Facebook website itself. Severin and Zuckerberg meet fellow student Christy Lee, who asks them to Facebook me. phrase which impresses both of them. And look how common that is right now. As the Facebook grows in popularity, Zuckerberg extends the network to Yale University, Columbia University, and Stanford University. Lee arranges for Severin and Zuckerberg to meet Napster co-founder, here we go, Sean Parker, who presents a $1 billion vision for the company that impresses Zuckerberg. He also suggests dropping the from the Facebook, just calling it Facebook, at Parker's suggestion. The company moves to Palo Alto. A lot of things happen in Palo Alto, doesn't it? With Severin remaining in New York to work on a business development. After Parker promises to expand Facebook to 2 continents, Zuckerberg invites him to live at the house he's using as company headquarters. While competing in the Henley Royal Regatta for Harvard, the Winklevoss twins discover that Facebook was expanded to Oxford, Cambridge, and LSE and decide to sue the company for theft of intellectual property. Meanwhile, Severin objects to Parker making business decisions for Facebook and freezes the company's bank account in the resulting dispute. He later relents when Zuckerberg reveals that they have secured $500,000 from angel investor Peter Thiel. I want to take a look at that name. However, Severin becomes enraged when he discovers that the new investment deal allows his share of Facebook to be diluted from 34% to 0.3% while maintaining the ownership percentage of all other parties. He confronts Zuckerberg and Parker about it, and Severin vows to sue Zuckerberg for all the company's shares before being ejected from the building. As a result, Severin's name is removed from the masthead as co-founder. Later, a cocaine possession involving Parker and his attempt to place the home on Severin finally convinces Zuckerberg to cut ties with him. Throughout the film, the narrative is intercut with scenes from depositions taken in the Winklevoss twins and Severin's respective lawsuits against Zuckerberg and Facebook, and the Winklevoss twins claim that Zuckerberg stole their idea, while Severin claims his shares of Facebook were unfairly diluted from the company when the company was incorporated. At the end, Marilyn Delpy, a junior lawyer for the defense, informs Zuckerberg that they will settle with Severin since the sordid details of Facebook's founding and Zuckerberg's own callous attitude will make him highly unsympathetic to a jury. Everyone leaves. Zuckerberg is shown sending a friend request to Albright on Facebook when refreshing the webpage every few seconds as he waits for her response. The epilogue states that Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss received a settlement of $65 million, signed a non-disclosure agreement, and rode in the 2008 Beijing Olympics, placing 6th. Eduardo Severin received a settlement of an unknown amount, and his name was restored to the Facebook masthead as co-founder. The website has over 500 million members in 207 countries and is valued at $25 billion. And Mark Zuckerberg is the world's youngest billionaire. So there you go. That's the history of Facebook according to the movie, and so according to the movie, that's it. Now, yesterday I read the Wikipedia on Sean Parker. Sean Parker says that he said it's not quite accurate in the sense that the character of Severin it did not go down that way per se for him, and it kind of combined his character with another character of something like that happening with Platsko, and that he and it wasn't exactly they kind of made his firing combined with that and whatever. It wasn't exactly totally accurate. And of course, Sean Parker says that they depicted him in a heinous way. It wasn't. I think it was called, the word was irrehensible, human something. He thought that he wasn't portrayed in I guess in the way that he really is, and it wasn't necessarily as popular. So, we should have my guest coming up here in just a moment. Kimberly will be here in just a second, hopefully. Kimberly Matlock is a medical marijuana patient that has been treating her MS for a while now, and hopefully she'll be joining us here in just a moment and give us her tips on what she does. I've interviewed Kimberly before. And she, but this is her first time on American Freedom Radio, and it's definitely been at least a couple of years since I've done a show with her. So I'm really looking forward to having her being on the show here in just a short moment. Okay, so for some reason it seemed to go to, we're having a little bit of a difficulty getting her on here. Hopefully we can get her back in a few minutes. I might actually try to send her a message here as well by text to let her know that we are trying to call her. Let me see. Let me see if I can do that for a moment. Sometimes, like I guess they can be, you know how it is. So, but I find this all really fascinating because wait, is that a message? No. Okay. I find this to be all really fascinating to talk about. Okay, I'm just giving her a really quick test. Someday, maybe I'll have somebody doing this kind of tech stuff in the background for me. But right now, I'm a lone wolf doing this in some ways. So anyways, yeah, I find this kind of interesting that a character like Sean Parker, he's not a character, he's a real human being, but that he would be interested in marijuana. Why is he interested in marijuana? Why? And honestly, I would like to hear, I would love to have an interview with Sean Parker. I'm giving a shout out to Sean Parker. I don't know if he, listens to American Freedom Radio or pays attention to her. But to him. To me, actually, I was looking at something at the same time, and the word "her" came up, so I got confused there. Forgive me. But I'd like to know if Sean Parker smokes weed at all. Does he have a vape pen that has Girl Scout cookie on it? Does he have a Girl Scout vape pen? Does he partake? I mean, we know from the movie that he was using cocaine. And here's something that Wikipedia is not mentioning that the movie spells out, was that not only was he doing drugs, but he was doing drugs with minors. And he was in a I think if I remember the movie right, he was in a compromised position with one, or there was some sort of sexual activity going on. So he basically was stood chance of being arrested for statutory rape. So not only was that going on, but according to Wikipedia, these charges were dropped, and one can only wonder what that would be. So Danny, why? Well, I mean, why would charges like that be dropped? Think about it. Could it be because he was recruited by the CIA and he's working for the elite anyways, and so we'll just scrap that under the table because you're a billionaire and you're too pivotal on the entire program of controlling the masses of the entire world. But hey, let's just not go there, right? So hopefully we'll get Kimberly here in a moment. She did send me a message on my on my phone. I don't know what the message said. I'm not going to play it because if I play it, that's just going to take too much time. I'm just assuming that Kimberly is prepared to take the call. and we'll try it one more time. Okay, so I could read a little bit more about Sean Parker here, and I guess until that happens, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, yeah, she said she's saying try me, and I'm going to put her call again. Okay, so I'm going to put down we'll call again, and she should be here any minute now. So we'll try that. So anyway, so yeah, I'm this puts a new wrinkle in all this, and it's fascinating. I think it's kind of fascinating. I don't want to be totally negative about it, about Sean Parker, but here's something that this is more on Forbes. All right, there's more to read on Forbes here. This is Forbes magazine, and this one says, despite the glitz, Sean Parker's Cancer Institute could be something special. So I want to hear. Let's hear about that, and I'm wondering if that is going to have anything to do with marijuana. All right. You can tell now that his face is a little pudgier than the one photo thing. He's maybe, I guess he's 36 now. But, okay, call any, she's typing to me. We'll call any minute. Any minute now. Now. Tried earlier. Okay, sorry guys. I'm sorry to be doing this. Okay, all right. So earlier this week, Sean Parker, the billionaire known for co-founding Napster and serving as Facebook, first president, announced that he was donating $250 million, 10% of his estimated net worth, to create a new institute to catalyze the development of cancer treatments that harness the immune system. He got laudatory wall-to-wall press coverage from national papers and TV networks, but also more than a bit of skepticism and shade, noting that Parker was throwing a gala in L.A. that would be emceed by Tom Hanks and would feature performances by John Legend and Lady Gaga. The New York Times snarked. Presumably, the cancer researchers will also be there. When I posted a link to Vogue, a slideshow of celebs at the event on Twitter, I got an even stronger reaction. This party alone could have funded 100 postdocs for a year, wrote Randy Schreckheis, the chief operating officer of San Diego Biotech. I'm sorry. Okay. Lisa Jarvis, an ace reporter at Chemical Engineering News, joked, David Blaine clearly going to use magic to cure cancer. No other possible explanation for why he's there. Adam Fierstein, the widely read biotech columnist at The Street, snarked, sure. You know what? Let me just make sure, before I go on here, let me just make sure that I have the right number for her.
Hello?
Oh, there you are! Hi, Kimberly. Kimberly Matlock, welcome to the Freedom of Joy show. Thank you for taking time to be here today.
Oh, you're welcome.
So I was letting the audience know that you suffer from multiple sclerosis, and that you have been treating yourself for the disease for quite some time now, and I'm sure that there are a lot of people out there that are looking for this kind of information. There's probably other multiple sclerosis patients out there that want to know how they can really take care of themselves and what your method has been. Can you share some of that with us? Let's start first with how you got multiple sclerosis and when did you detect it?
Well, it was about 2003, and I live on a farm, and I was back there with my standard-bred horses, and all of a sudden I hit the ground. And there were like three of them, when they were like around me, the horses, and my neighbor came over, and then, you know, later that year I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. But I was on my own path in life. You know, I didn't want to go with the pharmaceuticals and in that road, so I went leaning towards I'm a vegetarian, long-term vegetarian, organic diet, and cannabis. And so far, I have the swimming as my exercise. I'm incorporating edibles and extracts through my teas with the cannabis too. But I'm strong. I do everything but walk. But I four-wheel drive all over this farm in my wheelchair and my scooter. And I have my mother, my 83-year-old mother now, survivor of a stroke, on extracts with the hemp protein and the cannabis drops. And I'll tell you one thing, she's just looking remarkable. She is 83, and she's on absolutely not one drug, one pharmaceutical. So we're doing great. We're having wonderful results with it.
That's wonderful. I've often wondered about helping people with strokes, and also the way that cannabis. I'm finding research that it rewires the neural pathways in the brain. And I've often wondered if by using cannabis, let's say somebody's speech is affected, or even using certain abilities based on what happened in the brain, are you finding that she's recovering faster, or is she having any of those kind of results?
What we do is we speak in code. Because when she had that last stroke, it was very aggressive, and it took the esophagus, and she is fed through a feeding tube. And I incorporated proteins and, just more. We advanced it in different areas with the protein powders and the aloe vera juice and the extracts. And she does 1 for yes and 2 for no, and she's very sharp. She can go way back. I can whip out books from, like, her childhood days, the family photo albums, and I'll point. I'll know who's who, and then she'll address it with yes or no. So she goes way back. Like when she was like 7 and 8 years old. And I take her all over the place. We take her to concerts. I reinstate her sanctuary zoo membership every year with her long-term friend, 50 years old. What I did is I put together a little group with just my friends that are actually, they're other professionals that are either very involved in their elderly loved ones, whether it's an aunt, mother, father, uncle, whatever. And I'm teaching them how to incorporate more of a healthier diet and get them out and entertain with them, whether you take them to the park or a library or whatever. Just activating, the elders with the youth and whatever, just trying to get them away. My goal is to get all these elders off all these pharmaceutical drugs on a natural diet, whether it's aloe vera juice, ginger root, or whatever. In fact, they have acid reflux medication that they hand out like candy that's incredible for these elders. And the caregivers, about 6 months down the road, they start feeling numbness in their hands and feet from it. And I'm like, my gosh, there's got to be an alternative to this medication that's so, toxic. And yes, you can, whatever you could do synthetically, you could do naturally. And we found a gateway to homeopathics and natural. And it's great. Her acid reflux is gone. She's just, it's like we're reversing the aging process in a natural form. There's some other herbs and diet, nutrition, exercise. My mother, before she goes to bed, 140 exercises with the little leg exercise. It's a cycle that you put up next to her wheelchair. And I use my arms with her legs. We work as a team, and we do 10 sets of 10, which is 100, and then we do 4 sets of 10. And that's 140 before she goes to bed every night. And she loves it, and it takes about 12 and a half minutes.
That's incredible. That's great. And it's great that you are helping your mom the way you are. I really applaud you for that, because and I don't mean to I don't mean it like I don't want to be negative in the sense, but I am going to kind of pointing out. A lot of people don't take care of the elderly or their parents. They kind of just put them in these terrible homes and just leave them there. There's this sort of, I think that sometimes we discard the elderly, and I sort of blame it on our own society right now and the conditioning that we're having. We kind of live in a disposable society. If you're not able to produce in the way, like the jobs and this and that, and be part of the money machine, then when you get into those elderly stages, it's like, I almost think there's almost like a programming, like, your life is pretty much over, kind of thing. Here's your retirement. Go ahead, and now you're farmed out on all these different medications that the Western medicine is going to put you on. And to bring love and nature and natural home, a natural healing process, and also to engage with our elders, and to keep them in doing youthful things. I think that's really wonderful.
Well, thank you. She's everything to me, and she's just, it's like, how can you take life from something? You know what I mean? Really. My mother's, her heart's there and her mind's there. Did you know at one time she knew every standardbred sire in the state of California? She used to sustain all the sire stakes, for the championships. And she retired at a late age in life, And I'll be darned if I'm going to let a stroke take the rest of her life. We're going to have fun. I told her, Mom, I don't care how you come home, you're going to come home, and we're going to find a way. She's got her own dog. She's got her own horse out there that she pets and gives a carrot to. And, we're just having a blast. And I'm trying to educate other people to do that. You can still have a life. And if you take care of a loved one, have fun with it. Play games with them. Take them out. Do things with them. And eat healthy with them. If your mother or father can eat physically, you're ahead of the game, baby, because I have to feed her through a tube, and we're doing it that way. I'd love to take my mom out to eat to a restaurant, but I can't. But we go another route.
Is there going to be a possibility that one day she will be able to eat again?
Well, that's up to the Lord. But at this time in her age, we don't know that. But she gets her greens. She gets everything. She gets everything. I mean, when the hospital sent her home, which I had to literally stand up in front of a panel of medical doctors and fight for my mother to take her home. Because when they're elders, you know how they are. It's like elders are one step up from an animal. They really are. And I'm proactive with my mother, and I stood up and said, my mother's a Hall of Famer. And all of a sudden the lights came on, and the whole attitude was different. And I'll tell you one thing, we got her home, and she's having a great life. She really is. She's got her little friends that come over. We do things with them. And I hope this opens the door to other people. Maybe they'll get off the phone and call their mother or father and say, hey, I want to spend a little more time with you while we're both on Earth.
Yeah.
That's my message in life. And cannabis is paving me the way because it's keeping me healthy to take care of my mother. I get up at 5 every morning, and my closing time is 9:30 at night. And I manage everything, and we're expanding our farms, and we're starting a pistachio farm down the road. So, we just keep moving. We keep going and be creative.
Can you explain to the listeners a little bit of what your regimen is, and maybe even you grow, right, yourself?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, can we talk about your growing? I want to talk about how you prepare your teas. I mean, I know we don't have too much time, but what strains you're using and why.
Basically, if you grow organically, you can utilize every part of the plant, all the way down to the stem. But for edibles, extracts, teas, you can even break up the stems and use them for your bird. I have a couple parrots that they use it for the fiber. And but with the teas is you can take approximately about a tablespoon of ginger root, peel off the outer side, throw it in some, good clean water, something, not distilled, but more like a spring water. And then you add about 4 or 5 leaves. And that's up to you if you want to add a sweetener. But you let it extract for about 20 minutes. I go ahead and run maybe mango slices in there, or, if you want to do lemon or whatever. I don't like the citrus, but I'm more of the enzyme with the mangoes. And sit that for about 20 minutes. And that works. It works in a different area, eat edibles and extracts. If you could do it hot tea or iced tea. And then if you want to add minerals, I'm a big, I had a friend, George, that has George's aloe vera juice farm in Texas, and we used to use that on the horses. And you can add, the leaves in there, too. And that tastes kind of like water. I mean, it's not a gel taste or anything. And that has your live enzymes. And we have mulberry trees here. We'll add fresh mulberries in there, along with, like, the mulberry leaves and some of the cannabis leaves we put in there, for the horses. Because the leaves will eliminate the parasites, and then the other one will act like a fiber, texture for it. But yes, the whole plant can be utilized. The way to go is like the old saying, don't panic, grow organic. That's the way to go.
And do you find that there's any particular strain that is that you use that you recommend to someone else who might have multiple sclerosis? Well,
yes, I'm more into the indica.
Oh, okay.
And then what I'll do is there's different lines. There's so many out there. But use something that you're comfortable with. And then incorporate it with different fruits. Have fun with it. A lot of people, I used to call it fairy water. You put your fruit inside the water, and then you add, like ice cubes that are purified water. So you're not getting toxicity or free radicals from the water. And you make water fun. You're getting your water intake, and then you're getting the veggie or the fruits, and then after you can eat the fruits on the bottom, and you can actually eat the leaves. I'm a vegetarian, so I can eat, it's nothing for me.
So, I mean, when you're saying you're making a water, are you putting fruit in the water? You're also putting the cannabis leaves in it as well?
Correct. And then I'm adding about 10 extracts of the indica.
Oh, and by that time it is
like
in
the old rooster. Have you ever seen it with the old rooster on there? They're called indica drops or indica drops.
I haven't seen that yet.
They're by Dutch farms, and then you just use them as an extract.
Oh.
These are indica, and I use indica.
And then, so you make it...
raw material, and then you got the extracts, and then you got your fruit. You can also go mint, because mints are the cousin to cannabis. You can use, pineapple mint, apple mint, spearmint. Whatever kind of mint you like. Mints are really good, too.
That just sounds really nice.
You just really, and it's fun because you could do things all year round, you could do the Christmas stuff and the Halloween stuff, you could really have fun with it. You can incorporate cinnamon sticks and, whatever fruit, seasonal fruit. You got your strawberries in the summer and the mango and the blueberries, and you have all your berries, blackberry. I don't know if you guys get mulberries there or olive berries. And then another thing, like in pancakes, I'll make the butter, and I'll put the butter in with the mulberries. I make mulberry pancakes with the wheat, and I'll incorporate that too. And those are delicious.
That does sound really delicious. What else do you, I know you mentioned you make teas. Oh, you use teas too as well?
Yes, I do. I'll do a yerba mate delight, and I'll put the leaves with the yerba mate, and then I'll add cinnamon stick, and then what I'll do is I'll steep that for, I don't know, about 12 minutes or whatever. And then I'll just incorporate that like in my breakfast. You know, some people do coffee. I do yerba mate. And then again, you can add your extracts with that. Your extracts go either way, cold or hot. And I do casseroles.
How does it affect you? The extract. I mean, do you get the highness to it at all, or does it not affect you anymore? I mean, what should people expect in terms of the THC content?
Well, what it does for me is it blocks any form of pain, eliminates any inflammation. You know, I do the cinnamon. I incorporate other herbs with it. So what I'm doing is I'm constantly moving. Like I said, I'm up from 5 in the morning till 9:30 at night. And I'm running on vegetables, fruits, grains, nuts. I eat tofu, about a pound of tofu every day. And I'm fit. I work out. But what I do is, the key is to keep moving the body. That's the key with MS, because you don't want any interactions with, inflammation, pain. I also incorporate eye bright, because a lot of people with MS have, disorders from the colon, because when the toxins back up from the from the colon, they lay up in the respiratory area. You've heard of people that died of, like, lung cancer and that? Well, that could be coming off the colon versus, they didn't smoke a day in their life. But, another key factor is radishes. You could throw the leaves inside like a mixed salad with all your mixed greens. Throw your radishes, because your radishes eliminate the free radicals from the lower intestinal tract. So here you got your antioxidants, you got your proteins, and now you got your cleansers in there, and then you just incorporated your leaves inside your greens. And use a lot, whether it's a tahini or Italian dressing on there.
Oh,
and
nice.
Mixed in all that, all the greens and all that, they're not going to really taste it. I mean, it's just going to be another leaf to them. But don't forget those radishes, and if you got a cold, that helps the cold too.
Oh.
Just chop them up real small and throw them in there.
Oh, that's good to know.
It's good for singers. I mean, we used to chop them up and soak them for the horses because, there's nothing in there. It's all natural. And the horses, so they wouldn't colic and stuff. The radishes are great, and they're inexpensive. I mean, come on, everybody can afford a radish.
Well, yeah, that's true.
If not, you can buy a pack of seeds and grow them yourself. You can grow them on a balcony.
That's it. I think you should write a book.
Well, I did a vegetarian cookbook in 2000. It's called Fairies in the Garden. And I kind of incorporated, certain things. There's, unfortunately, cannabis is not in there, But, certain diets for different people, it's from a 3-year-old to a 95-year-old. Anybody can exercise it. But, maybe so. Maybe I'll, find the next chapter of my life, and I'll do that. My theory is, if we wake up every day and we learn one more thing from each other, we're ahead of the game.
Well, the reason why I bring it up is because right now I think people are really they're misconstrued. They don't understand the plant and how it can be used in its various forms, and they don't know how to do it for themselves, and they don't know what works. And really, it's people like you that have figured it out. You've decided you did it yourself. You figured it on your own. You've documented it. You are a person who you've done your own drug research. You're your own subject. Your own clinical trials, if you will, that way. And I really think that it's really the testimony of people like you, and then giving that information out to people so that they can figure it out and find their way too as well. This works for me. again, I know you're not making any, like, let's say we're not making any claims here. We're not, but it's if somebody wanted to go down the road that you did, this is how you do it. And I personally, I don't know anybody, I don't talk to a whole lot of people who come from the place that you do with the knowledge that you do. Most of the time right now, even unfortunately within what's happening with marijuana and how it's being distributed and created, and the whole market of it is kind of in itself having that sort of machine sort of, I patent this, I have this oil, why don't you buy it? Without even really letting people know what the value of those things have. Like, right now, I've kind of been experimenting with vape pens lately, and the reason why, and I don't want to do it all the time because still I'm kind of questioning about what exactly is the oil made out of that they're using in the vape pens. Is it glycerin? Is it real honey oil? And trying to find the purity of what you're doing, because I don't want to be inhaling other chemicals that I don't have to inhale in if it's in the purest form. But I do like and I'm still smoking bud too as well, and taking edibles and things like this. But I do like the convenience of a vape pen and this discretion. It's discreet. It's like you could be puffing off of any pen. It doesn't necessarily. People don't really know that it's cannabis, and the smoke, the scent is a lot lighter, and you can put it in your purse and things like this. And so I'm experimenting with that. But again, it's packaged and it's a market, and just like bud is as well. And half the time when you go to a dispensary, you still don't have somebody, they'll go, oh, I have this, as if they're showing you a fine wine that you can smell and determine and ask what the THC count is, et cetera, all these different things. But you're not really getting somebody telling you, hey, I'm sick with this, what would this be? There's no book out there or doctor that's able to tell you, yeah, use this. I've got acid reflux. Help me. Is there possible? I have this disease. I have that disease. What do you recommend I do? And in a sense, in a way, it is kind of a trial and error, like what to dose, how to do it, what strain works with your body. Maybe there's different things that work better with different people. And would you agree with that, or do you think that most methods, by and large, are pretty accurate in what it could do?
Well, I've never gone down that road with the pins and stuff like that. I've always gone from the garden to the kitchen, But I like to know exactly what my intake is, what I'm putting in my body. And yeah, the other one is just, it's kind of like a foreign language to me, because it's just, to me, it's not naturally gated. You just don't know enough about that area. It is, and as far as cannabis, it's a shame. It's such it's an overrated herb in the political area where, they think it's this and that, but there is no toxicity in cannabis. It's, like I said, when you extract it in edibles, it takes a different area. Things might not show up till later. But I'll tell you one thing, it keeps my body from tying up. I don't know if you ever seen a tie-up with MS, or even a horse when it ties up before it races. You don't want a muscle tie-up. Well, I've eliminated that through the cannabis. It's remarkable. It's like I bypassed that area, through the diet and the combos. So, yeah, anybody, it's like anything in life. You take your own responsibility and you make your own path. If you want to follow somebody else's path, you might still not get the same results, because you'd have to take that person, put him on that right diet, and they'd have to exercise obedience as far as if they're going to go out and eat a bunch of fatty foods and clog their arteries and do this and that, this might not work for them. But if they're going to eat right, and they're going to, if I don't believe in somebody like combining alcohol with the cannabis. or cigarettes with the cannabis. They should use, solo. Stay away from all that other, if you want something to really react. And so far, it's been working for me. And this is going on, 13 years. I had another friend that one of his family members had MS, and they went through, the traditional factors with the medication and everything. He's like a paraplegic. This guy needs a full-time caregiver. And I refuse I don't want to live that life. I want to be able to get in the pool and ride a horse and do this and that. I want to be able to do these things. I want to be active in life, and I'm not going to let MS take me down. I just found my own way. It's like, and that should be for everybody. Everybody has a free choice.
Do you smoke it too as well?
Yes, I do.
And how does that affect what does that do for you in terms of the MS?
Well, I don't have to smoke a lot because of the quality of the cannabis that I extract. Because when I grow my cannabis, I incorporate everything. I incorporate other herbs into the soil along with megas and everything. So I'm getting nutrient value too. So I could take maybe 2 hits off it, and that could last several hours. So it doesn't take a lot,
Uh-huh.
And then all they do is you put ice inside of a little, you can get a little bong, a little, water device, put purified water in there, and there you go.
I love it when I love to do a bong hit with a little bit of ice on the bottom of it. That's a nice way to take it in. It's got a little cooling effect to it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And especially if you have purified water, it's very pure. It's really you're getting. I think you're getting like a clean effect or a clean inhale. Which is good too. You mentioned your book. Do you have it for sale anywhere that people can pick it up at?
Yes, I do, and it will be connected. I'm going to have Doug set it up on his website, and I don't know exactly Doug's website at the moment. Do you have it?
You know what? I'm not sure either. It's got.
We'll have to address that at another time.
Yeah. Well, I'll definitely have you back again. I'd love to have you come in and maybe give us a report, or maybe we can focus on smaller aspects of what you do and go into do a little segment, a preparation segment of how to, like a how-to or something show. Maybe just do a little something. Have you back. I don't know if you'd be up for something like that, but I definitely would like to stay in touch as well and get help you out and get your website out there. I'm going to probably I think we have maybe another 60 seconds left for the show. So, Kimberly, is there anything that you wanted, is there any last minute advice to other MS sufferers that you would like to say?
Yes, just stay strong, stay mentally strong. Music therapy is excellent too. And, just respect every day. Take advantage of every day. And don't give up. Don't give up. There's a way out there.